Hello students, Mr. Sims Math Class presents State Exam Multiple Choice Review number 5. So at this point, hopefully what's happening is you're starting to realize that, or you're starting to get better at these. Right? This is the 5th one they're going to be doing, right? And the ultimate goal is at least 50%. If you can get at least 50% of the questions right, you're going to be in pretty good shape, especially on the first try. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 1, during a sale, store offered a 40% discount. So I'm going to model. There's some big word problems in here, so I'm going to model the close reading where I read the last sentence first. What is the price of the camera after this increase? So let's go back and read. 40% discount on a camera at $450. So the way that most of you have been doing this is you've been setting it up where you're taking 40% of $450, which 40% of $450, save you some math, is $180. Okay. But that 180 must get subtracted away because the discount takes away from the price. So that puts me at 270. Okay. The other way is to take the 40% off and use 60%. That's the way you can get 270 right away. All right, so now, second part of this, after the sale, the discounted price of the camera was increased by 40%. So I'm going to do another 40%. But now, instead of taking 40% of 450, I'm taking 40% of 270, which 40% of 270 is 108. And then that 108 gets added. So 270 plus 108 is 378. The other way to do this a little bit quicker would be to add the 40% to the original amount and use 140 over 100. All right, that's going to come up in a later problem. Okay, number 2, product. Product means multiply. And if you multiply a negative times a negative, we know automatically that the answer is positive. So I'm going to get rid of my negative choices because they don't make any sense. Okay? And keep in mind, if you get rid of answers that don't make sense, even if you have to guess, it's guessing out of 2 as opposed to guessing out of 4. So then, now that we don't need to really worry about the negatives, all I have to do is multiply. So 1 times 3 across the top is 3. 4 times 4 is 28. Actually, it's 4 times 7. I apologize. So 3 28s. Okay. Moving on to number 3. Okay. Which expression can you use to determine a number of pounds of cat food each year, and they give you 1 year equals 52 weeks? All right, 3.5 pound bag every 3 weeks. Well, if you think about the operations that you would have to do, if we get mad with this, 3 times 2, you get 7 over 2. Well, if you just by doing this work alone, you should be able to get rid of choices C and D, because neither one of them have the 7 over 2. Right? So then it comes down to, is it 52 over 3 or is it 3 over 52? Well, in this particular case, it's 3 weeks. So you would be dividing by 3 weeks, but 3 weeks out of the 52. And when you multiply, you keep change flip. So you would have to take 52 and divide it by 3 to figure out how many 3's get into 52. And then you would multiply that by 7 over 2. So the answer to this is A. All right, number 4, decimal equivalent. This would be no calculator. The 7 goes in, the 8 goes out. Okay, and we just do long division. So 8 times 8. 8 times 8 is 64 with 6 remaining. Bring down a 0. 8 goes into 67 times. I get 56 with the 4 0. Bring down another 0. And you get 0.875, which is choice C. Number 5, what is the value of negative 1/4 minus a half? And this is a division sign. All right. So now if you look at your answers, look how 2 of them are negative and 2 of them are positive. So if you could just get rid of the negatives or the positives, then this answer becomes, or if you have to guess, it becomes a little bit easier. Guessing out of 2 is way better than guessing out of 4. So let's figure out what's going to happen. So let's, in theory, think about this. If I take a negative and I take more away, then my answer here is going to be negative. If I have negative 1/4 and I take another half away, I've taken more away. So this is going to be a negative. And if I take a negative and divide it by negative, that is equal to a positive. So I know my answer is positive, so I can now just get rid of those 2 choices. Right now, as far as combining these, well, if I take 1/4 away, and I have to get a common denominator, so I need to make 1/2 2/4. So this is negative 3/4 divided by negative 4/7. Now, because I already know that this is a negative divided by a negative equals a positive, I don't need to worry about the signs anymore. I can just do the math. So 3 over 4, keep change flip. 7 over 4. And then I just multiply across the top. 3 times 7 is 21, and 4 times 4 is 16. And if you notice, it's not one of your choices, but if you make this a mixed number, get unmad, I guess, so to speak, 16 goes into 21, you can get 1 in, so the answer to this is D. Number 6, based on the data, probability B4, 820. So you just, all you really do is just count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of all the times that she arrived, which is 20. The answer is C. All right, number 7. What is the radius, circumference of 16 pi? So circumference formula, a formula that is provided for you to use, C equals pi d. So if the circumference is 16 pi, then that means that the diameter has to be 16 because the diameter gets multiplied times pi. So if the diameter is 16, the radius is 8. All right, number 8. Based on this average, what is the difference between the two salary options? Anytime they're asking you to find the difference, that means there's two parts to the problem. So I'm going to separate this into two. And this is a tough problem, and I know you've done it before. Well, most of you have done it before. So there's two options. So let's look at option number 1. Okay, option number 1 is $115 per week plus the commission, 9.5%. Okay. Now, we want each year, and notice I give you this disclaimer, 52 weeks in a year. So in option number 1, the first thing we have to do is we have to take 115 and multiply it times 52, which is 5,980. All right, 115 times 52. Right. So then it's 9.5% of the sales, and this is where we have to be careful. This is the sales, the 125,000. So it's 9.5% of the 125,000. And that is equal to 11,000, saving you some math here, 875. And then if you add those two together, you get 17,855. That's option number 1. A lot of work to option 1, but this is a realistic type problem. All right, option 2 is actually really easy because it's just 450 per week, no commission. So all I have to do is take 450 times 52, and I get 23,400. This obviously would be a calculator problem. And then you just subtract the two options, and the answer would be B. Number 9 is probably the hardest of the percent problems that we could do. All right. So if the students meet their goals, Travis collects 43. How much money did they collect in all? So we know Travis collects 43, so we got to figure out what Jessica and Robin. So if I read this, Travis collects 20% more than Jessica. Travis, Jessica. All right. Jessica is going to be the original amount, the 100. Okay. 20% more. Now here's a tape diagram for this. So Jessica is the 100%, and if you add 20% more to that, then Travis is going to be 120%. A few of you might remember doing this type of problem. Now Travis is 43, so 43 has to go on the top because it has to match what Travis is. So we got 120 over 100, 43 over X, and then you just do your cross multiplying and dividing, and Jessica earns $35.83. Right. Now, here's the other part of the problem. Now we've got Robin, it's 35% more than Travis. So you got Robin and you got Travis. Now Travis, in this particular part, becomes the 100%. Robin is 35% more, so I'm going to add the 35% to the 100% and get 135%, and then 43 is on the bottom. Cross multiply and divide, and we get 5805. Moving this down a little bit. So then now you got to add in Travis's 43. So then you've got Jessica, Travis, Rebecca. Add those three together. The answer is C. If a couple of you could get that right, I think that would be a good choice. And keep in mind, you're going to see problems that you're not going to be able to do. And this might be one of them for most of you. All right, try to switch pens here. Pen's dying. All right. What is the approximate difference? There's that word again, of the Earth and the Earth's moon. So Earth and moon, two different problems. Okay. Circumference, C is equal to pi d. That's the formula we're going to be using. The mean radius of the Earth, so this is r, so we got to find the diameter. So we need to find the diameter of the Earth's moon, or sorry, of Earth, which if you double this would be 12,000. So you have to multiply this by 2. 742. And then you multiply that times pi, and you get about 4,030 kilometers, about, around the Earth. Now we do the moon. Same formula, but once again, they give you the radius, so we have to double that to get the diameter. So if we double 1,737, we get 3,475, and then just multiply that times pi, and you get 10917. Subtract the 2, 29,113. Salesperson received a commission of 25% of the difference. What was the commission? There again is the difference. So here's the auction price. Right? $10,000. At the dealership, a salesman sold a boat for 30% more than the auction price. So 30% of the 10,000, okay, which would be 3,000. So they sold it for $13,000. The commission is 25% of the difference between the two costs. So it's 25% of the difference. Now that difference ends up being between 10,000 and 13,000. So it's $3,000 difference. So then the commission would be $750. And the last one, factorization. Undistributed is what I like to use, factoring, or when you split up. Now here's what's nice about this, is that you can see clearly that 8 is what's getting undistributed. So that's like you take 32m plus 56mp, and you divide by 8. But you also notice that there's an m in both. So whenever that happens, that means that that is a common factor, and that can be undistributed as well. You can take it away. If you give m's to everyone, you can take the m's back. All right, so the answer to this is going to be D. All right, so for multiple choice review number 5, this is Mr. Sims signing off.